Okay. Let's see. Shalom, Lord Christ, Israel. This is Officer of 50, Nishat Ahmad, coming out of Cleveland, under Commanding General Yohana, ISUPK. Also, follow the Detroit School. Detroit, ISUPK, Pittsburgh, ISUPK, Cleveland, ISUPK, Northeast Ohio, ISUPK, Chicago, ISUPK. Follow, share, subscribe, do all of that good stuff. Matter of fact, any social media platform, if you see ISUPK on it, follow it, share it, subscribe it, do all of that. Just follow, share, subscribe. Let's get this truth out and let's push it. So today, I want to talk about birthdays. We'll talk about birthdays today. How it's not of the Lord, and just how, like, we're gonna get into the origin of it. You know, how it started and what these symbols, and we just gonna break it down to see what everything means, because everything means something that we do, that most people do, that they don't realize that they're doing. So we're going to get into it. So let's see here. I'm going to start with that right there. I want to start at Genesis 40. Yeah, let's go to Genesis 40. Let's see here. I'm new to this sharing screen stuff. So yeah, there we go. Bam. I'm about to be a pro at this. Like Officer Quam in Pittsburgh. About to be like you in a minute. Out of one. Okay, we're going to start at Genesis chapter 40. So pretty much we're going to go over the first recorded birthday in the Bible. So we're going to start at Genesis chapter 40, verses 1. It's a pretty long chapter, so I'm going to just give you read like the first two verses, just to give you like an outlook of what's going on. So I'm going to start at chapter 1. So chapter 1, Genesis 40, chapter 1. And it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt. Verse 2, the Pharaoh was wroth against two of his officers, against the chief of the butlers and against the chief of the bakers. So pretty much these are the two like main characters in this chapter. So pretty much we're gonna skip down, but I'm just trying to like fill you in on what's going on as we're skipping these verses. So pretty much these two gentlemen, they had dreams, but they needed those dreams interpreted by Joseph. So Joseph interpreted those dreams. So we're going to skip down to the chief baker's dream. To the chief baker's dream. And we're going to go down to, let's start at 16. So Genesis chapter 40, verse 16, and it says, when the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head. Verse 17, and in the uppermost basket there was a manner of baked meats for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. Verse 18, now this is when Joseph is interpreting the dream. And Joseph answered and said, this is the interpretation, therefore. The 3 baskets are 3 days. So Joseph told him that these 3 baskets represents 3 days that the man had in his dream. Verse 19, yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off of thee. Verse 20. And it came to pass the third day, which was Pharaoh's birthday. So as I said, this is like the first recorded birthday in the Bible. Let's start over. Verse 20. And it came to pass the third day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants. And he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among him servants. Verse 21. And he restored the chief butler unto the butlership again, and he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. Now, if we go back up, which part that we skipped, Joseph interpreted this dream to the other man. And this is exactly what had happened. So when we go to verse 22, it says, but he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted. So pretty much the first recorded birthday that's recorded in the Bible was which was done by an Egyptian, which is a heathen. It's not an Israelite, but there was death on that day. Someone lost their life on the Pharaoh's birthday. So that was the spirit behind that day. But we're going to go to another verse here. Let's see. With that, we're going to go to, let's go to Leviticus. That's what we're going to do. We'll go to, let's see, move that. How do you do this? Pardon me, I'm trying to get this down pat here. Let's see. Seems to be not working. So I guess I'll just read it. We're going to go to Leviticus chapter 18. And we're going to start at verse 1 for the context. So Leviticus chapter 18, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Lord your God. Verse 3. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, ye shall not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Salakia. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. So verse 3 pretty much just said, the Lord is telling the children of Israel, do not do what the Egyptians do. Do not do the doings of what they did, or you shall not walk in their ordinances. So as we read in chapter 40 in Genesis, that the first recorded birthday was done by an Egyptian. So that being said, the Lord just told us in Leviticus, do not follow the ways of the Egyptians. So we're going to go to Job. Let's go to Job chapter 1. We'll go to Job chapter 1. Remember, the topic is we're talking about birthdays. So Job chapter 1, verse 1. There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job. And that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God and eschewed evil. Verse 2. And there was born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. Verse 3. His substance was 7,000 sheep and 300 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the east. So Job was the greatest man of the east, saith the Lord. Verse 4. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. So verse 4 is saying that his sons went and feasted in their day. Oh, Salakia, it said, and their sons went and feasted in their houses, everyone his day. It's pretty much his day. They celebrated. So in verse 5, and it was so when the days of their feasting were gone and about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of all of them. So Job is doing a burnt offering because his children celebrated their day, which is their birthday. And continue on verse 5, for Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned. What did they sin? That's the big question. So, and curse God in their hearts. Thus did Job do continually. So, like, if you just think about it, like it just said, Job has a total of 10 children. And it says, thus did Job continually in verse 5. Job had a lot of burnt offerings to do if he's doing this for every child. Like, just imagine you got 10 children and all of them is celebrating their day. So Job is like, it's a busy dude doing these burnt offerings for his children. So we're still in Job chapter 1. So if we scroll down to further down in chapter 1, let's see. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. We're going to go to Job chapter 1, verse 18. And while he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness and smote the four corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. So we're still in chapter 1. Remember earlier we were reading about Job and his children and how they were celebrating their day and how Job had to do burnt offerings for the sins of his children. If we skip down to verse 18 and 19, basically his children were unalived, to sum it up. And we're going to stay in Job, but we're going to go to Job chapter 3. So we're on Job chapter 3. We're going to start from the top, verse 1. So Job chapter 3, verse 1. After this, Job, his mouth. Salakia. Let me see. Is that right? Chapter 3, verse 1. Yes, that's right. Okay. So chapter 3, verse 1. After this, opened Job his mouth and cursed his day. Verse 2, and Job spake and said, verse 3, let the day perish wherein I was born. That's heavy right there. I'm going to repeat that. Verse 3, let the day perish wherein I was born, in the night in which it was said, there is a man child conceived. Verse 4, let that day be darkness. Let not God regard it from above, neither let the light shine upon it. Now, he's still talking about his day, which was his born day. Verse 5, let darkness and the shadow of death stain it. Let the cloud dwell upon, let the cloud dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. Pretty much, Job is cursing his day. It's pretty much, should I read verse 6? Verse 6. As for that night, let the darkness seize upon it. Let it not be joined unto the days of the year. Let it not come until the number of the months. So Job didn't even want this day to be counted in the year. He wanted to forget it all together. That's deep right there. On his day, the day he was born. So we're going to go to Jeremiah. We're going to go to Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 14. And it says, "Cursed be the day where I was born. Let not the day wherein my mother bare me be blessed." So the Bible is like a running river. Everything just flows. So you had Job saying something similar to what Jeremiah said. So now we're going to go to the New Testament. We're going to go to Matthew chapter 14. And this is the time of Herod. So we're going to go to another recorded birthday by another heathen. So we're going to read verses 1 through 10, just to get an understanding of what happened. So verse 1, at that time Herod the Tetrarch heard the fame of Jesus. Verse 2, and said unto his servants, "This is John the Baptist. He has risen from the dead, and therefore mighty works do so forth themselves in him." Verse 3, for Herod had laid hold on John and bound him and put him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife. Verse 4, for John said unto him, "This is not lawful for thee to have her." So pretty much John is, checking King Herod for dealing with his brother's wife. So verse 5, and when he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude because they counted him as a prophet. Verse 6, but when Herod's birthday was kept, so now this is another birthday. King Herod, remember, he's not an Israelite. So verse 6, but when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod. Whereupon, this is verse 7, whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. Verse 8, and she, being before instructed of her mother, said, "Give me here John the Baptist's head in a charger." So basically a charger is like what's a charger? Charger is like a plate. It's like a real big plate. It's a fancy plate that you put on the table. It's like real big or whatever. They put like a big turkey on it or something, like a little showpiece or whatever. So that's what a charger is. So verse 9, and the king was sorry, nevertheless, for the oath's sake, and them which sat with him at meat, he commanded it to be given her. Verse 10, and he sent and beheaded John in prison. Verse 11, and his head was brought in a charger and given to the damsel, and she brought it to her mother. So this is another birthday by a heathen that resulted in death of someone else, which was an Israelite, which was John the Baptist, which is crazy to me. So we just went over Genesis chapter 40 with the Pharaoh and his birthday, and a man was hung that day. And now we dealt with Job and his children when they were dealing with their day. We went to a chapter where Job, he cursed his day. We went to Jeremiah where he said, "Curse the day where I was born." And we just went to Matthew's chapter 14, where John the Baptist was beheaded on the birthday of King Herod. And I am trying to, okay, there it is. I could have did that. That's jacked up. Okay, so we're going to go to, got some screens here. We're going to go to this right here. Go to share screen here. So I'm going to share this screen. I'm trying to do this. I'm going to get better at this, I promise. Salakia. Let's see here. It is not popping up. So I guess I'm going to have to read it. I wish I could share it. Damn. Okay, so I'm going to read the origin of birthdays. So the origin of birthdays. In ancient Egypt, the pharaohs was a priest, king, and a god to the Egyptians. And this was, let's see here. And this was the root of the reason of the celebrations. So originally, the birth of a common people was not celebrated originally, but the only birthdays of the gods and the latter kings and the great ones. As time went on, and since each day had a god associated with it through astrology, as the common people observed these days, they began to associate the celebrations with their own birthdays as well. So the Egyptians were very interested and influenced by astrology. Man, side note, this like the astrology stuff and all of this, what is it? Horoscopes. Like y'all niggas got to chill out with that shit, man. Like Salakia for the language, man. But like when I see grown men, like women, whatever. But when I see grown men asking women what's their zodiac sign, shit just gets on my, like, it's gay to me. Like if you a dude and you talking about zodiac signs, like I just think you're gay. Like, just period. I just think the whole zodiac, Scorpio, Taurus, like you go up to a chick and you ask her like, hey, what's your sign? She say, oh, I'm a Gemini. First thing they're gonna say, oh yeah, you toxic. Man, shut up. Like that's side note. I'm sorry, man. I had to vent a little bit. But back to where I was at. So Salakia. The Egyptians were very much interested and influenced by astrology. The course of the stars and the planets were charted and tracked, being used to forecast events and to bring enlightenment to the people and their issues. These celebrations supposedly made one celebrated of God, which is crazy to me. So we're going to get into the Greeks. As we know, the Greeks took a lot from the Egyptians. So as we get into the ancient Greece, they started to implement things into birthdays, such as birthday cakes, candles, and all types of other rhetoric. So I'm going to read this here. From ancient Greece, cakes were tools of idolatry and worship of the moon goddess Artemis, also known as the Queen of Heaven, Semiramis. So, a verse from Jeremiah chapter 17, chapter 7 and 8 says, the children gather wood and the fathers kindle the fire. The women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven and to pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that they may provoke me to anger. Now, this is in Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 18. Now remember in Jeremiah, I believe, chapter 20, verse 14, said, curse the day where I was born. So Jeremiah was in the times where these practices were happening. So we're going to read more into the ancient Greeks. The Greeks believed that everyone had a proactive spirit or who attended his birth and watched over him in his life. The spirit had a mystic relation with the God of whose birthday the individual was born. So the Romans also subscribed to this idea. This notion was carried down in human belief and is reflected in the guardian angel, the fairy godmother, all of that bullcrap, all of this ideology. The customs of lightened candles on the cake started with the Greeks. Honey cakes round as the moon, which we said earlier, which was dedicated to the moon goddess, and lit with tapers, were placed in the temple altars of Artemis. Birthday candles, in folk belief, are endowed with special magic for granted wishes. Lighted tapers and sacrificial fires have had a special mystic significance ever since man first set up the altars to his God. The birthday candles thus an honor and tribute to the birthday child and brings forth good fortune. So the saying happy birthday to friends and loved ones was socially a superstitious way to protect them from evil spirits. Birthday thumps, bumps, and pinches. Like you remember when, oh, you got to get your birthday hits. Like I had older cousins. I didn't even want to go around them because I knew it was about to happen on my birthday. Like I'm the youngest, so they used to, they used to tear me up. So I had to tell my parents, like, man, I don't want to, no more parties. We ain't doing all of that. But yeah, that's where all of that stuff came from. The birthday thumps, the bumps, the pinches. These were said to bring good luck and send away evil spirits. So as we're doing this growing up, we don't know that, this been done for thousands of years prior to us doing it. So party snappers, horns, and all the other noisemakers were also intended to scare off those bad spirits. So that's wild in itself. So let me go here. Go something that's crazy right here. So we're going to go to the Satanic Bible. I'm sure like almost every brother in the school know about this, but the Satanic Bible. A lot of Christians don't know this, but that birthday is highly praised in Satanism. So we're going to get to the Satanic holiday. So the Satanic Bible was written by Anton LaVey. So in the Satanic Bible, he writes, after one's own birthday, the two major satanic holidays and Halloween. Other holidays celebrated by members include the two solstices and the two equinoxes of Yule. This is Levy's own words. Let me make this bigger so I can read it. In the highest of all holidays in satanic religion is the date of one's own birth. Every man is God if he chooses to recognize himself as one. So basically the satanic religion, if you want to call it that, it's a very self-made, it's all about you. So pretty much he said every man is a God if he chooses to recognize himself as one. So the satanic celebrates his own birthday as the most important holiday of the year. So the day that you were born in the satanic religion is your birthday. I'm going to continue on. Despite the fact that some of us may not have been wanted, or at least were not particularly planned, we're glad. Now, these is his words. Even if no one else is, that we're here. You should have, it's kind of blurry right here. He goes on to say, you should give yourself a pat on the back, buy yourself whatever you want, treat yourself like a king or a god that you are. Self-explanatory right there. And generally celebrate your birthday with as much pomp and ceremony as possible. After one's own birthday, the two major satanic holidays is Halloween, of All Hallows Eve, the solstice, and the equinox are also celebrated as holidays, as they are heralded in the first day of the season. So that is pretty much a backdrop to what birthdays are. I can go over everything that we went over. Give me a minute. So we went over Genesis with the Pharaoh, how he celebrated his birthday, and how a man got hung. We went to Leviticus, where it said, after the doings of the land of Egypt, we are not to do. So it said, do not follow the customs of Egypt. We went over Job, about how he did burnt offerings for his children, for them celebrating their day. We went further on down in the chapter, the very first chapter of Job, we went further down to see that they were unalive as they were celebrating some type of feast. I'm not sure if it was that same day. And we went to Job chapter 3, where Job cursed the day he was born. We went to Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 14, where he stated, cursed be the day where I was born. Let not the day wherein my mother bare me be blessed. Then we went to Matthew's chapter 14, with King Herod on his birthday, where John the Baptist was beheaded. And we can go to, and we also went over how birthdays originated in Egypt, as it said in the Bible, which further proves that the Bible is a real book. But it went back to say that the birthdays initially started with the Egyptians, then it further moved on to the Greeks and the Romans, and then it just pretty much took off after that. So I'm trying to find any more information about it. Like I said, this is just a real quick class just to go over some things real quick with you. So yeah, it's just, even with birthdays now, you can see the wickedness in them. You know, people go out, they get drunk, belligerent, especially you women. You women, y'all get half naked, got everything hanging out. You know, you go out, you get drunk, you know, you're doing all type of drugs or whatnot, belligerent. And the crazy part is y'all got a group of friends that's encouraging you. You're out there, you're twerking on everybody, you're kissing him, you're kissing that, and your friends is encouraging you, telling you to, saying, go girl, get him girl. I seen it. When I was in the world, I was the recipient of the birthday girl. So trust me, I know about it. Salakia. I was back then, you know, I'm in the truth now, but back in the day, niggas used to look for the birthday girl. What a birthday girl at? But it's like y'all have no morals on that day. Y'all do all types of evil acts. Crazy part is, y'all don't even remember the day. Y'all don't even remember the previous night. Y'all just wake up to a nigga you don't even know. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. But yeah, pretty much pretty much sums it up. That'll be my time. Like I said, I'm officer in the shop coming out of ISUPK Cleveland. I'd like to say shalom, and it's a wrap.